This is the aftermath of my 2019. And there's Charlotte. A lot more grown since the last video because we have had, oh my goodness, 6 months of just like grand misfortune, which has ended us here. Well, let's start at the beginning. I have absolutely dreaded making this video because when I started this channel, I thought I was at a point in my life where like things were on the up and everything was just going to be a success story and it was going to be Dawn succeeding at life. And the end of 2019, actually like from the middle to the end, was just... I think the last time I made a video was in May and I was talking about my finances beginning to fail, and I think like the very first thing that happened was my bookshelves fell apart. So I went out and bought more bookshelves. And after that, everything just started collapsing further and further and further. So the guy that I was dating at the time, things got serious pretty quickly. I just have a habit of moving extremely fast with people. I don't know why, I just do. And he was on the same page and things were just like clicking and working with us. And everything was great. Like my debt was getting paid down and I was doing so good. Like I was credit card debt free and everything was just awesome. And then he took my car to work one day and a deer came out of nowhere and my car got totaled. And I was paying the lowest car insurance that I could, which meant I had the highest deductible, which was $2,000, which within a single day completely cleared out my emergency fund, going out to spend more money to get another car. And my boyfriend was super helpful and he felt super bad, but he's in a worse financial situation than I am and he's making less money than I am. So he literally couldn't help no matter like how bad he wanted to. So we went around looking for just an affordable used car for me, but like every car that I found that I thought would work for my needs ended up having a ton of mechanical problems that just wouldn't be worth it to invest the money into. So I ended up going out and just getting another lease, which was just the cheapest payment option monthly for me, which is what I needed at that time. Because my emergency fund had been drained and I had this new car payment and just new investments that I had to put money into, I couldn't afford rent on my apartment any longer. So I decided to get out of that apartment and in turn just move in with my boyfriend, which was the one thing he could do to help me out with the financial situation. And if you hear a little person talking to the side, that is Charlotte. She has grown so much and I just feel terrible because I've wanted to document so much of her life, but we'll get to that soon. Let me keep like on track here. So I moved in with my boyfriend and I ended the lease on my apartment, which cost $2,000 to get out of. But in the long run, it was going to save me money on the money I would have been paying for rent. Well, turns out there was a bunch of fine print in my lease that was never disclosed to me. And it ended up turning into this huge issue where they continued auto drafting rent for 3 months, which added it up to $5,000 total, which was just insane. And I went through all the paperwork that I had and it was like a mess because the rental manager lady had like sent me emails stating that I didn't owe any more money. So I had that like proof on paper, but then they were still auto drafting me and I was getting a hold of corporate and it was just a total disaster. They ended up refunding me like $700, but it wasn't worth it at the end. I still lost like $5,000 in that deal. So at this point, my emergency fund is drained. I have spent $5,000 in like a really short amount of time. And everything is just getting worse and worse and worse. This is the point when I start to feel really, really overwhelmed. And when I get stressed out, like my first physical instinct or like physical reaction is to just be totally exhausted, like lethargic. Stress physically exhausts me. And I had a huge stress weighing on me because 2019 was supposed to be my year of paying off debt and I was going to be debt free super quick. And that was not happening. And I wanted to get on YouTube and I wanted to talk about it, but I was so embarrassed because things weren't going how they were supposed to be going and just everything was failing. And then Charlotte started having medical issues. Like just everything that could have gone wrong was wrong with her. A horse? Do you have a horse? You want to see?
Yeah.
Show them the horse. In your dress because she demands to wear pretty things. Charlotte's medical issues. So this kid would not eat, like just wouldn't eat. And she wouldn't sleep. We slept 2-3 hours a night at most. And she couldn't go to the bathroom on her own. She had to have an aide for that. And just her entire system was completely out of whack. And I saw countless specialists, and I was spending about $1,000 a month just on medical bills for her, just going to different places, gastroenterologists and eating specialists and occupational therapists and just regular pediatricians, trying to find an answer for what was wrong with her. We're gonna switch up angles here so she can also see herself and I can sit more comfortably. But that was taking up so much of my time that I couldn't work, and my business was falling behind dramatically, which was making me even more stressed and even more lethargic. And I felt so tired all the time because she wasn't sleeping and she wasn't eating, and I was spending hours a day just trying to get her to eat and helping her go to the bathroom, and all of this on like a completely sleep deprived state. And my finances were failing, and I didn't have the time or energy to work on my business, and everything was getting so bad. And then just little things started piling up. It's like when it rains, it pours, and that's exactly what happened. I took a boating trip with my boyfriend, just trying to get away and feel happy for a minute. My phone ended up falling out of the boat, and I had to go and spend another $1,000 on a different phone and pay off the phone that I had lost because Verizon's insurance wasn't covering it. It was like just everything that could have went wrong. My child support stopped. My ex stopped paying child support. I had a fee for late tolls come in the mail, tolls that I had driven through like 3 years ago and didn't even realize that I had never paid. And I had an astronomical fee for that, and then bills on top of bills on top of bills. And my business was just slowly failing. I couldn't keep up on my business. All of my money was going to medical bills and just bills in general, and I had absolutely nothing left. So I ended up starting spending on the credit card again and taking out a loan. And within a 3-month period, just with so many things drowning my bank account, I ended up spending $15,000. This all just hit like a catalyst around the holidays. My boyfriend has 2 little girls, and I have 1 little girl, and we were trying to buy gifts and make it special, and I was traveling because my child support or my child custody agreement, I have the obligation to go to Kentucky, and I live in Iowa now, so that's like a 700-mile trip. I had no time to work and no money coming in, and I was hitting one of the deepest depressions that I've ever had in my adult life. And for the sake of this little girl playing dress up over here, I was just trying to keep it together, and it was taking everything in me just to put a smile on and get through the day with her, who was still having a lot of medical issues. I felt like I was constantly swimming towards the surface, and the water was just getting deeper and deeper, and I was drowning, and I had no idea how I was going to pull myself out of this. Like, I literally didn't even know how to re-begin. And it was taking a toll on my relationship, and my boyfriend, who had been literally the utmost supportive person you could possibly imagine, while I'm just falling apart on a daily basis. And I realized like I had just become a totally toxic person. Every single time I opened my mouth, it was a negative thing coming out of it. It was me talking about, she's knocking over stuff, which we're going to get to this situation here soon. But I was just talking about what I was worried about constantly, because I had so many worries. I was worried about my daughter's health and the fact that she wasn't gaining weight, but she wouldn't eat and she couldn't go to the bathroom on her own, and the fact that we were so sleep deprived all the time. But also I was worried about all of these bills that I couldn't pay and trying to get caught up on everything, and the never-ending debt that I just was falling deeper and deeper into. And I couldn't work because I didn't have the time. I had so many other obligations going on, and it just felt suffocating, and everything that I word vomited out was totally negative, and it was taking a huge toll on him. So I realized, and this was a hard realization to come to, that I was extremely toxic to everyone. To my daughter, who became even more whiny and upset because I was getting frustrated about her medical issues, and I felt helpless. And every time that something was wrong, I would just start crying, and she would start crying, and it was a month of just both of us crying. And I realized I needed a drastic change. So I started looking for a place to rent. where I could just put my stuff, because my boyfriend and I's stuff, along with 3 kids in a tiny house, was not working. So I found a place, and I used the last little bit of a loan that I had taken out to sign a lease on a new place. Not because I was moving out of my boyfriend's, but just because I wanted a spot to start over. And that's where I am now. My boyfriend has been unbelievably supportive and has helped me move everything out of 2 storage units and his house into here, so I can just get organized and try to start again. That's where I'm at now. Is in this place with a lot of stuff all over, and I don't know how I'm going to handle it yet, but we're getting there. We're starting. We're re-beginning. This is what I needed to just start over. And this is me at step 1 again. I'll make a video here soon talking about my financial situation, which is even worse than last year at the beginning of 2019 when I started paying off debt. I'm now in even more debt, and my financial situation is in complete ruin. But this is step 1. I am starting again. I'm going to get organized and get my life together and crawl out of this complete hole that I've fallen into. It just felt like everything was raining down on me, and no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't catch up to where I needed to be. 2019, my word for the year was organization. And I did. I got organized, and I had deadlines for everything, and my schedule was always filled out perfectly. But that caused issues because halfway through the year, when I wasn't meeting my deadlines and my financial planner was just completely overwhelming me. She has a horsey. I'm gonna move over so you guys can watch her, which honestly is probably what you'll want to watch when I am going through like a very sad discussion and she's just over there enjoying life. But either way, my word was organization, and I was really organized, and I have learned how to be organized and how to manage my time appropriately and how to put things on a schedule and stay on a schedule, and that was great. But when I was having issues with Charlotte, a lot of my stress was coming from the fact that I wasn't meeting deadlines that I had set for myself, and I wasn't crossing off everything on my to-do list. And on days when all I could do was give her my time and my energy and hold her and try to make her feel better, my mind wasn't thinking, I'm making my daughter feel better, this is what I need to do today. It was thinking, I have a to-do list 100 miles long, and this is the last thing I want to be doing. And I realized around the holiday season, that's not who I wanted to be. That's not the kind of mom I wanted to be. So for 2020, I decided that my word, Charlotte, she just knocked down her toddler bed, which luckily is super lightweight, but oh my goodness, that scared me. Okay, so for 2020, my word is just going to be peace. That's all I want to do in 2020 is find peace and follow my heart and just be kind to myself and be kind to Charlotte. And recognize that not every single day am I going to be extremely efficient, and not every single day am I going to get done everything that I want to get done. So I will still plan things out, and I will set goals, and I'll have a schedule. But at the end of the day, all I want for myself is for each day to find peace and to just be happy and follow my heart and try to stay calm. So this channel is going to take a little bit of a different turn because yes, I'm going to be focusing on goals and finding where I want to go in life, but I am also going to be doing it in a way that's a lot easier on me. And I'm going to take a breath, and I'm going to recognize that as a mom to a little girl who is very dramatic and has a lot of issues at the moment, I just need to be easier on myself and on time and on life in general. So for 2020, I just want to find peace. And that's starting by getting this house in order, getting back on track with my business, and just finding the calm within myself to be able to recognize that not everything is going to go how I want it to go. These last 6 months taught me that in a astronomically difficult way. And it is time for me to just re-begin again and find my calm amidst this chaos, which surprisingly enough, once I decided that my year was just about peace and I wasn't going to force anything and I was just going to go with the flow, things have not been stressing me out. I've actually felt just significantly better and realized that it is what it is and I have to do what I could do within that. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to document it, and I don't even know what my videos are going to be about anymore. I'm going to just kind of figure that out as I go. And that's kind of how my year is going to go. So I'm going to figure it out as I go. Starting again at the age of 27, I'm starting again. So that is where I've been. That is how my 2019 ended and how my 2020 is beginning. I want to start making videos again, and I want to do it about my financial situation and getting out of debt and just being a single-ish mom. I have a boyfriend, but we're still in like the getting used to each other, living together type phase. So in terms of taking care of Charlotte, that's a separate video. But either way, it's about being a mom and just going with the flow and figuring out life. And I don't know which direction this channel is headed in, but I wanted to sit down and just start again, because making these videos really does make me happy, and capturing Charlotte's life and like what we do to get to where we are in the future is important to me. So for her sake, I just want to have a documentation of like how life was. And that's what we're doing. Right now, life is chaotically calm. It's a mess and a disaster, but I feel like for the first time in months, I can tackle it. Just a day at a time, a minute at a time, a second at a time, doing whatever needs to be done in that moment, which a lot of the time is just being there for her. And for the first time in a long time, I'm okay with that. The rest of the time, I'll do what needs to be done. But when she needs me, that's all that's going to happen. So yeah, may 2020 be a year of peace for you as well. My only goal this year is to just find my own sense of stability and calm and relaxation, no matter what storm life is throwing on around me.